Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing your second Q&A for this week, leading up to the second episode of the second half of The Walking Dead Season 7. This is for Episode 10, New Best Friends. Do we think Eric could be the one to betray the group? And spoiler warning, if you guys have not seen the mid-season premiere for The Walking Dead Season 7 yet, rock in the road. This is something that I didn't really touch on too much in the review, maybe at all. And that's something that's a little bit tricky for me to do nowadays with the reviews. I try to touch on just about every sequence or every scene in the episodes, but there's just so many, and I'm not complaining about that. I'm glad that they're that they're doing a lot with it. And the episodes are actually going over the runtime. They're going past an hour. To extended territory pretty much every time. The first 3 episodes are, so the next 2 are going to be extended as well, and we haven't got any news past that, but I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the other episodes are extended as well too. It's a great thing, but one of the things that makes it tricky for the reviews is that there's so many scenes, it's hard for me to touch on them all in one review, and sometimes certain ones don't get touched on too much for sake of time for the review. So I save that for the Q&As, and we go over some theories and get into certain scenes a little bit more, and that's what I'm going to continue to do because it just gives us more time to discuss things and allows you guys to comment back and give your thoughts. So for this one is, will Eric betray the group? So first of all, we should mention, for anybody who's out of the loop, that kind of thing, Eric, of course, is Erin's boyfriend, and we have a scene in episode 9 where he approaches Erin in one of the Alexandrian houses, just the two of them, and he expresses his concern to Erin and forces him to pretty much tell him the truth, tells him, don't lie to me, this kind of deal, tell me the truth, tell me what's going on, is Rick going to fight against the Saviors again? And of course, Eric fears for Erin's safety because Erin already got beaten up once in the mid-season finale, Episode 8, Heart Still Beating. So I really like this development. I really like this is the way this is going, and I regret that I didn't touch on it more in my review, but this could be a very important scene because in this sequence, you can see a lot of fear coming from Eric. You can see a lot of fear, right? So could it be, we know that one of the members of our group, either Alexandria or the survivors as a whole, is going to betray the group. We know someone's going to betray them because Lenny James, who of course plays Morgan, has said in an interview, which I covered about a week or 2 weeks ago, roughly before the premiere, that he even mentioned in one of his interviews that someone would betray the survivors. We just don't know who it is. So when we see this sequence with Eric, and I also saw this in Q&As as well too, it was a great prediction even before we saw the mid-season premiere, is that Eric could get so scared and so fearful for Erin, and as he said in this episode, that all he really cares about is their safety, the two of them. He doesn't really care about anybody else. He doesn't seem to care about Rick or any of the other people, which makes sense because he's not really that close to them. I mean, he knows them, but, they didn't. He's an Alexandrian, right? Rick and the others are like the survivors. They've joined Alexandria. They've become part of Alexandria. But for certain characters in Alexandria, we still get the sense, especially from Eric, that maybe he's not that close to them. And of course, he really, his priority is Erin, and to be kind of protective for Erin. Could he snitch? Could he go and tell Negan what Rick is planning to do? In exchange, give Negan that information and, want safe haven for himself and Erin. Because really, if it's just the two of them, if all Eric cares about is Erin and him, which is what he said, them being safe, and he doesn't care about anybody else there, really, Rick and the others, then, I could see him snitching out of fear, for sure. I like the line from Fear the Walking Dead, people do these things because of fear. Daniel Salazar's line from season 1? I think so, yeah, season 1 of Fear. So that's a pretty good line to kind of sum it up, and, fear can cause people to do a lot of different things. But within character for Eric, after that sequence, I could see it 100% as him being the one to tell Negan, being the one to betray the group in exchange for, protection for himself and Erin, because he doesn't want Erin to get hurt. Because he's mad that Erin's even leaving at all. And, he kind of knows, he kind of has figured out that they're going to be trying to fight back against the Saviors. So that's the theory. We'll keep our eyes open for that for the next couple of episodes. Let me know what you guys think about the theory. Write your comments below. Could you see Eric doing that to try to protect Aaron and himself? And do you think he will? Do you think he's the one to betray the group, or do you think it could be somebody else like Gregory, or who knows, someone from a different community? Personally, I like Gregory where he actually says we never had this conversation, because that's actually the best thing that the survivors could want from him, because he's going to denounce or deny the entire thing like it never happened, squash it, which is actually good, because then they don't really have to worry too much about him getting involved and trying to tell Negan, because he himself is so scared that he wouldn't want Negan to know that he was the idea was even brought to him. So good stuff. So I personally think it's a great theory, and I think Eric is probably most likely on my list right now for characters to betray the group, especially after that scene. So write your comments below. Let me know what you guys think about that one, and we'll continue with today's Q&A questions. Andy G says, do you think Rosita getting so much time in character development this season, it would be possible for them to kill her off at the end of the season? Maybe season 7's finale, big character death could be Rosita. So I personally don't like it. I mean, Rosita, she's gone through a lot, that kind of thing. All the characters have, but I really feel like, this kind of current Rosita is superior to anything we saw in the comics from her at all, I want to say. In the comics, she's kind of treated like, just eye candy, hot chick type thing, being drawn in, and that kind of deal. The TV series too, you get a little bit of that. You got original costume where she's like showing her midriff and stuff like that. But I feel like they've really added a lot more to the character this season. They've made her a lot more badass, a lot more cold, a lot more aggressive, and personally, I like it a lot. And I think it's the type of development that could be good for a character for seasons, not just like one season and then kill her off. I think that with us not having Glenn, not having Abraham in the series anymore, and Maggie kind of being in a state where she's not really going to be out and about fighting and doing stuff like that, them giving Rosita those scenes, especially with explosives and everything in this episode, and some of the great lines she has, like the one she says to Sasha about them having sex with the same dead guy. It's really badass. It worked really well for me, I think, and it's really made Rosita much better than I thought she ever would be in the TV series version. And, personally, I would not want to see her get killed off at the end of this season, because it's just too much fun right now, I think. At least for me, anyway. I'm enjoying seeing kind of this more badass version of Rosita, and I wouldn't want to see her get killed off at the end of the season. But, I mean, you could be right. Whenever you get a character that has more time in a show, you have to be worried with Walking Dead, or even other shows where you have major character deaths like Game of Thrones and things like that. Whenever a character gets a lot of time, you always have to be, kind of like worried, okay, are they going to be getting killed off pretty soon or something? Is that why they're giving them so much time? Especially with Walking Dead, because they tend to do that a lot before they kill someone. But I don't think so in Rosita's case. So I'm just saying no. But you could be right, and if you're right, say I told you so at the end of the season. Okay, Andy? Leroy Taft says, Q&A, Trev, been subscribed for a while now. Nice job in the videos. Great work. My question is, do you think all the new groups, mainly the Kingdom, makes Alexandria look weak and made Rick look like a weak leader, as they have been living in the same world, and the Kingdom seems to have achieved so much more? Keep up the great work. So for Leroy, I don't think that these other communities, and I'll do a video tomorrow on ranking the communities in terms of like power right now. We'll do like a 1 through 6 type of deal and rank out which ones have the best fighting prowess, ability, and everything. It would be the strongest. The Kingdom is certainly up there. It's certainly one of the top ones, I think, right now. But I think that's just kind of right now. I don't think it makes Alexandria look weak, because we as the viewer have seen everything that's happened to Alexandria, and they faced a lot of difficult obstacles that a lot of these other groups have not faced. Rick is a different type of leader, and then Ezekiel, and the defensive turtle type of survival strategy. It can work pretty well, for a lot of groups. I get the sense that the Junkyard group may be a lot like that. They kind of hide in the Junkyard. No one expects for people to be living there. They live on very little. They don't even seem to have much in the way of vehicles or things like that. So they're very off the grid, so to speak. I don't think a lot of these groups make Rick and the others look weak. I don't think the Alexandrians made Rick and the survivors look weak. I just think it's that Rick and the others have had a tougher time, and actually they're stronger per person, they're stronger per survivor because they've survived through some really terrible odds and some terrible set of circumstances. Like, has the kingdom dealt with a governor? Have they dealt with, terminus, cannibals, this kind of thing? We get the sense some of these other communities, like the kingdom, have gone through just about nothing. They've pretty much been set, and they've had an easier time, and a lot of that comes down to luck. I don't think it makes one of them look like they're better. I just think it makes it seem like they had an easier time. Kind of in life, too. If you get someone who's born and they have really rich parents, and their parents like buy them everything, maybe some of you guys. Some people just get an easier time than others. Other people like me, well, my parents bought me a washer and dryer, so that was nice of them. But I had to buy everything else. That's all they really gave me. A few shirts and stuff like that, so some small stuff. Anyway, some people have it easier than others. Let's just put it that way, okay? Smallville _Boyd. It better not be a TV show. People always hate that I always rag on Smallville, but this is the worst show ever. Okay, all right. It's not. Maybe I don't want to say that because there are some fans of Smallville. So anyway, who in the hell is feeding, bathing, babysitting, watching, playing with, rocking, holding the frickin' baby Judith? This bugs me the most about this show. Maybe you should watch Smallville, boy. They always include all the lovey-dovey scenes and all this stuff in Smallville. I don't know. Maybe you're looking at the wrong show. There's a lot of characters, and I saw this a few times, actually, about Judith. There's a lot of characters in the show now, so you're not going to get to see certain ones every episode. Judith, she's there. We get the sense that she's in Alexandria, but we don't always get to see her every time because, there's all these other things going on. You have all these communities now. You have Negan and the Saviors. It's not a surprise that we don't get to see the baby every episode. It's just like something that, they have so much other stuff going on. Not every sequence needs to have Judith. Maybe only a couple in half of a season or something, depending. JT43 says, "Hey, Trev, great job. Hey, do you think there's a chance that the Saviors could end up killing Shiva? Pretty sure King Ezekiel would change his mind. Then also no more CGA after that." So I'll make this the last one for today, and then we'll get close to wrapping it up. Maybe one more after this one. With Shiva, she didn't look the best in this episode, I have to admit, in episode 9, but it's really hard. One of the things that's really hard to CG in is hair. Hair is extremely difficult to deal with. Like, if you have to edit around hair, it's very tricky to kind of animate in terms of CG and to do with like visual effects and stuff. Hair is really difficult to do. So you have a tiger that has hair everywhere, obviously. It's pretty difficult for them to do it, and it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort. And with the TV series, they don't have that much time. They have to pump out these episodes and get them out for us quickly, and they're doing a lot of them and extending them too, which is great. So of course it kind of has to be, whatever it is going to be passable because it's a TV show, it's not a movie where they have more time and more budget and everything. But this time I'm almost thinking, man, it would have been pretty cool if they could have gotten a real tiger for the season, because then wherever Ezekiel is, they could have probably had the tiger walking around with them and everything, and had Shiva in like most of the scenes, rather than just getting to see her inside the theater, and then everywhere else Ezekiel goes, Shiva's not really around. In the comics, I get more of the sense that Shiva is like his best friend, where Shiva's kind of like with him most of the time. Like, most of the places he goes, Shiva's like by his side, We do see the scene where he goes to see Carol, and Shiva's there as well, too. So, it's not terrible, but, man, that would have been cool if they could have gotten a real tiger and had Ezekiel, like, walking around all the time with Shiva right next to him. And also for All Out War, if the Kingdom joins in the TV series version, and Ezekiel goes out there to attack the Saviors, if he brought the tiger with him, that would have been cool to see the tiger in and around in battle and that kind of stuff. That's going to be tricky to do. I'm actually wondering, how are they going to do All Out War if they include Shiva? How is that going to look? How is that going to work? Because that's going to be tricky for them to CG in the tiger with, all that war happening around it. So we'll see. They'll probably think of something clever, like have her, in the trunk of a car, or maybe in the window, and then just have him release her or something, and her go and kill a bunch of saviors and stuff and zombies, and then have something happen. So we'll see what happens with that. Last one will be from Sheem Almighty, who says, based on the episode 10 preview, do you think the woman from the new group Rick and his crew encountered is Magna? Why Is nobody in the zombie apocalypse riding bikes, and how long do you think it will take Carol to overcome her antisocial disorder? So let's start with the Carol one and her wanting to be alone. I don't know if it's antisocial. She's just really depressed and not feeling good. After what she's been through, you can definitely understand. She's another character that has been through an incredible amount, maybe more than anybody else, probably more than anybody else. With her, I would think pretty soon, maybe in a couple of episodes, we'll start to see her kind of get it back. Maybe once she sees Daryl again, maybe that will help change things for her. So I'm thinking a couple episodes for that. Magna, comic book series character, does not look anything like anybody in the Junkyard group to me, but it could be a decent setup for that. You might be right. We'll have to see what the name of the leader of the Junkyard group is, or maybe if there's a Magna mixed in there. There certainly could be, because there's a lot of girls that could look like the comic book series version of her. The leader of the Junkyard group doesn't look like Magna to me, but maybe one of the other ones could be, or maybe she could be and they just chose to have her look different. I don't think the leader would be, though, but maybe she could be a part of that. So we'll see how that goes. And then the last one about nobody riding bikes in the zombie apocalypse. Well, you're right. That's actually true. But then again, if you're going with zombies, riding around on a bike, well, in a lot of ways it's good because you don't need any fuel. You don't need any, any gas or anything to power it. You can ride as much as you want to. But it's not the most protected thing in the world. You're out there kind of, riding around, but you don't have any kind of protection against walkers if they come up and grab you, or if you wipe out or something with all the debris in the road and everything that is going to be there in a zombie apocalypse. Still, though, you're right. Maybe it's just because it looks kind of goofy seeing characters ride around on a bicycle, right, in a zombie apocalypse. It certainly doesn't add to the badass factor. I mean, in real life, it's a great thing to do because you save money. You don't have to buy gas. Riding bikes is good for your health and everything like that. It's awesome. But in a zombie apocalypse, it might just look a little weird. Anyway, that's it for this video today, guys. If you liked it, please thumb it up below. Write your comments below. Do you think Eric could betray the group to try to protect Aaron? And let me know what you guys think. Subscribe to the bottom left if you're new. That's it for this video, guys. See you again tomorrow for another. Keep sending me your Q&A questions. It's Trav saying peace. Later, guys. See you tomorrow. You better subscribe.